Hello, fellow human light beings. Welcome back to the Thunder Wizard YouTube channel. Question your reality, then change it. We're going to talk about this again. We're going to be talking about it a lot. I want you to get used to this catchphrase because it's my new catchphrase. In fact, this is such an important phrase. I'm going to keep repeating it because the more that you repeat something, the more that it gets entrained into the listener. This is why mainstream media does this. They keep repeating things over and over again until you become conditioned to it, and then whether you realize it or not, you believe it. You're hypnotized into it. So I'm going to keep repeating this phrase to you over and over again. Question your reality, then change it. Now the difference is, when mainstream media repeats a phrase to you over and over again, they don't want you to question it, and they don't want you to change anything. What they want you to do is accept the command that is being entered into you, and then they want you to go along with that feeling. You know, I forget the name of it. It's a science fiction movie. I think there's been a couple of them. It's about these horrible alien monster creatures that invade Earth, and they respond to noise. And so in the trailer, you know, a little girl coughs and the adult goes, because if you make noise, they'll hear you. And if they hear you, they will come and kill you. And it was just so clear to me why that particular science fiction movie has multiple, redos of it, because this is what the narrative wants. They want you to not question. They don't want you to do anything to change. And the last thing they want you to do is to speak your truth, especially speak your experience. And the reason why it's so frightening, the thing about horror movies is that horror movies aren't just about going and being scared. Because if they were, then we would just make movies about people being eaten by polar bears. Because that's a real thing that could happen, and that's scary, but that's not scary enough. There's no real danger because, if you're not out there, in Alaska, northern Alaska, looking for polar bears and poking them in their dens, they're not going to come looking for you. But we like horror movies that actually represent actual unconscious fears. And the reason why that science fiction movie, I forget what it's called, somebody can remind me if they want to. The reason why that science fiction movie is popular is because that is what you're being told. You're being told very clearly. There's a guy on YouTube named Hustle Bitch. Hustle, Hustle, bitch. And he was doing a lot of exposing of the Lahaina fires and the true causes of that. And he disappeared. He was gone for 5 months. And he just now resurfaced. And he said they came after him. And they tried to silence him. And he says, and I'm not going to be silent. And when you look at what's happening with the farmer protests all over Europe, I highly encourage you to go look for them on YouTube and Rumble. Because, again, it is such a huge, momentous movement that is completely upending and actually defeating government tyranny in the most basic way, which is your food resources. Because if they can take over the food resources and restrict your ability to feed yourself, then you're much more likely to be controlled. So the message is very clear. Do not question. Do not speak your truth. If you do, you will immediately be pounced on by the evil monsters who will kill you. If you want to stay alive, and don't leave the house. That's the other thing. You have to stay in your house and not say anything. And what happened over the past, 21 through 23? It's exactly what happened. People had to stay in their homes and they couldn't speak. You weren't allowed to speak about, you're trapped in your home, so the only way to communicate with people en masse is in social media, but you weren't allowed on Facebook or on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter at that time. You weren't allowed to speak your truth about anything that went against the narrative. And here in Australia, I was here during that time. I remember seeing people going to jail, not physically, but on social media, people getting arrested and going to jail because they tweeted or they went onto Facebook and tried to organize peaceful protests. Just for posting something and trying to create a peaceful protest, cops showed up and, what are you doing here? You broke the law. How did I break the law? You've been illegally creating dissension. No, I haven't. Yes, you have. Here's your Facebook post. And there's the cop with your Facebook post. It means that the cops are monitoring what you say online, and if you say the wrong thing, they will come to your house. I could give more examples, but this is a real thing. So if you want to defeat the evil monsters trying to keep you trapped and keep you quiet, keep you in one spot, then you must question your reality. But then you must change it. It's not enough just to question. Questioning is the first part, but the next part is to change it. So I'm talking now, I just got through talking about political stuff. So that's fairly, in a three-dimensional way, that is something we can change. But I want you to go beyond that. I want you to question your physical, literal reality. I want you to question the permanence of everything you see, experience, and feel. And I want you to investigate the idea that you can change literally everything, including your physical reality. Because that's usually where it stops. They'll say, oh yeah, you can create anything you want. You can create the life you want, and they mean it up to a certain point. If you really push them, they'll say, well, you can't do that. Well, no, you can't do that. But every single person just on the 3D level who's created something new and groundbreaking did something they weren't allowed to do, that they couldn't do. And I'm here to tell you that it is my belief, we'll find out if this is true as time goes on, but it is my belief that this ascension shift that we've been hearing about, this solar flash event, this new Earth, this new 5D Earth that you hear people talking about, that this will be accomplished as a result of people choosing to change their physical reality. We do this all the time. We just don't realize it. And at the risk of sounding like a broken record, the physics experiments having to do with is light a particle or a wave, there's been multiple experiments done over decades. And the end result, the latest one, is that is light a particle or a wave? It is neither and both, depending upon the expectation of the observer. So I'm using my words very carefully. I used to talk about this and say it was dependent upon the intention of the observer, but it's more than that. Light responds to the expectation of the observer. whether it's a particle or a wave. And in fact, the most recent experiment has indicated that light not only changes its fundamental structure based on the expectation of the observer, but will go back in time and change all of the evidence so that it looks like it was always that way. So in other words, if the expectation of the observer is to see if light is a wave, light will show up and act like a wave. And then you find out that it actually went backwards in time and changed all of the evidence to look as though it was a wave the whole time. When in reality, it was neither and both until your expectation changed it. And this means that everything, because light is the most fast-moving, time-sensitive object, because they're particles, and they change, very quickly. So this is true about everything else in your reality: your physical body, the chair you're sitting in, the house you live in. I grew up in a home. Let's see, it had been built, I think, 10 years or so before I was born. So it was built in the 50s. And my mother, my dad, and my mom lived in it together. My dad passed away. And then my mom and my brother lived in that house for a long time. And then I must have been in my, around 40. And my mom sold the house. So the house was perfectly functional and fine. Yeah, it was, a few decades old, whatever. But as soon as they moved out, as soon as nobody was living there with their energy keeping the house functional, it literally started falling apart. I mean, windows breaking, and it wasn't because people were throwing rocks in the windows. Everything just coming apart. It's because there was no intention to keep it there. And that's just an example. I'm getting off topic. So we're going to be talking about this. If you're new to the channel, what I need you to do is to go to the Thunder Wizard, of course, channel page, subscribe, like, and comment. If you don't do that, YouTube doesn't think anything's happening here. So I need you to do those things. And this channel, I believe, has been shadow banned, which means that the powers that be fiddle around with subscriptions and comments and views so that it doesn't go up on the get the views that it deserves. So I need you to do your part. So subscribe, like, and comment. Sorry. And then if you want to experience the ability to do what I'm talking about, I want you to go to the playlists page on the YouTube channel. It's absolutely free. It won't cost you a dime. Click on the 3 playlists. The first one is Maoshan Qigong. Second one is Interdimensional Meditation. And the third one is 12 Steps to 5D. Do at least one thing from at least one of those playlists every day if you want to transform yourself. While you're doing that, do not waste any time. Go directly to the website thunderwizard.com. Subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. You can unsubscribe whenever you want, but I guarantee you, if you just simply press play and do the practices that I'm doing on there, and you follow along, that's all you have to do. Press play and just do what I do in those videos. I guarantee you will be able to shift your frequency. And the more that you're able to do that, the more likely you are to do exactly what I'm talking about, which is bring this new 5D Earth, which is bring the Ascension event, bring the solar flash. If you're new to my channel, check out my books, michaelwilliamdenny.com, and of course you can check on the alien playlists here. I've been in direct communication with higher dimensional extraterrestrial beings since June of 2022. Nothing special about me. I asked for it. I went and did CE5 and I made a connection. You can do the same. Don't wait around for me. You go do it yourself. But as a result of that, those beings definitely have been telling me that there is going to be a shift. And when I ask, when is this event going to happen? When is the solar flash going to happen? They say the same thing every time. They say it'll happen when you decide it will happen. So I'm going to take them literally. It happens because we choose to do it. The only thing they're doing is they are showing us that this universe is just like the experiments with light. It is a matrix that is manifested as a result of the expectation of the observer. So I talked a while ago about what the narrative wants to do is it wants to hypnotize you, wants to repeat phrases over and over and over to hypnotize you. Why? Because then your expectations of reality will fall in line with what they want. And as long as you have the expectations of reality that they want, they can control you. As long as you believe, we could fill in the blank, then you're able to be controlled. The farmers in Europe are refusing to go along with what they're being told. They are burning tires and throwing animal poop onto government buildings, and the government is knuckling under, which means that we have the power to change them. But it goes beyond that. I know from personal experience, this goes back to 2001. During 9/11, I was actually up in the mountains, in the Sierra Nevada mountains, completely away from all of civilized society. I was just alone in the woods, and I had an encounter with an interdimensional being who you've heard of. He's often called Bigfoot or Sasquatch. It's not a he, it's a they. It is, those beings are interdimensional. They're truly interdimensional. They have the ability to shift their frequency to go from our 3D Earth into another version of Earth, which who knows what that is. And they can do that at will. And I'm not the only person who experienced that. I directly experienced that. Other people have experienced that. They literally disappear. They'll do things like just melt into the background and become a boulder. If they want to, they can show up as beams of light, depending on what frequency they choose to create within themselves. So they've learned how to do that. And so that means that their expectation of reality is profoundly different than yours and mine. In fact, it is my belief, based on a lot of experiences I've had, I won't go into, that I believe that a couple million years ago, the ancestor to both Sasquatch and humans, that those they went into two different camps, and one of them, our ancestors, became more literal. They became more mental, and so as a result of that, their expectation of reality became more fixed, and those people turned into human beings. And this is why we dominate our reality through technology and through physically interacting with it. And our then cousins, our ancestors, they went another path, and they started interacting with nature from their right brain. Is that what I want to say? Yeah, from their right brain instead of their left brain. And as a result of that, they were able to achieve a state of frequency that allowed them to shift, and that became their frequency. That just became their normal life. But from our perspective, you can go look this up, the ancestors to Bigfoot, the Gigantopithecus, went extinct. We know they existed, but they just went extinct. I'm here to tell you they didn't go extinct. They shifted to another frequency. And this is what human beings are here to do. We're going to shift to another frequency. And the easiest way to describe it is that our expectation of reality will change. Expectation, I'm using that word very specifically. I don't use the word intention because intention means effort. I'm putting effort into intending something. Expectation is a base assumption. When I walk to the edge of a cliff, I just expect that if I stepped off, I'd fall to my death. It's just an expectation. No amount of intention is going to change that. It's so deep and so fundamental to my expectation of reality, it would happen. So to change our expectation of reality is no small thing to do. It means a complete, total revolution of your entire mental, psychological, and spiritual state of being. And this is why we have higher dimensional beings, extraterrestrials. I don't even know how many there are, but I'm here to tell you there's got to be there's got to be millions of them. At least millions, if not billions of them, currently surrounding Earth, phased out of our dimensional understanding. And they're working in ways that we can't even begin to comprehend because we're stuck in this frequency of the third dimension. We can do things like CE5 and interdimensional meditation. If you're new to the channel, go to the interdimensional meditation folder. You'll have guided interdimensional meditations there. I teach advanced ones here at the Thunder Wizard 90-day challenge at thunderwizard.com. What was I saying? But that is how we can actively speed up the process and access higher dimensional energies. And when you do that, I want to encourage you to have your goal to be to learn how to do this. Learn how to change your expectations of what reality is. I want to encourage you to ask the light beings, whether you make conscious contact with them or not. I guarantee you, if you do the CE5 and the interdimensional meditation, I guarantee you they know you're there. Whether you experience it, that's a whole other deal, consciously or not. But I guarantee you they're there. So even if you don't have life-changing kinds of experiences that I've had and other people are having, I encourage you to specifically ask them, show me who I truly am. What is my true identity? Because it is our identity that determines our expectations. And if your identity is attached to this third dimensional narrative, it's going to be challenging for you to create a new reality. So, question your reality. Question your reality means question every one of your thoughts, every one of your emotional experiences, every one of your assumptions, all of your beliefs. Question everything. You wake up in the morning and you're in a bad mood. And if you stop and listen, this is myself, this is what happens to me, and it happened again to me this morning. It happens almost every morning. I wake up, my head has this list of all the things that are wrong in the world, all the reasons that I should be miserable and disappointed with myself and, whatever it is. And without even thinking about it, we just knuckle under to that and we react, and the rest of your day, you're miserable and you're upset. And, I talked yesterday about, I have a family member, assuming he's still alive, if he is, he's been homeless for at least a decade now. And it's completely by his choice, not his conscious choice, but his underlying expectation programs him to do that. He doesn't believe that he can accomplish anything, do anything. Nobody's here for him. The universe doesn't love him. God hates him. Everybody's out to get him. Even though I know for a fact that he has been given multiple avenues that guaranteed he would have income and place to live. And if you talk to him, assuming he's still alive, he'll tell you why that they took it away from me. It couldn't work out. And the truth was he just wasn't able to accept it. This is true if you're sick. This is true if you're poor. This is true if you're miserable, sad, depressed. This is a result of the base expectation that you have, which is a reaction to the programming which you've accepted. So the point is, I'm not talking about love and light, new age, just be in a good mood and everything will be okay. None of that darkness for me, love and light. No, this is something fundamental. It is real. It is linked with your survival. Your instinct for survival will try to keep you in your expectation of what reality is, which means that the matrix will obey that expectation. So that is what has to change. So first thing I want you to do, the moment you wake up, I want you to stop. Don't just get up and do your thing, whatever it is. Take 10 minutes. Sit on the edge of the bed and go, how am I feeling? What are the thoughts that are going through my head? What are the assumptions behind that? A negative thought goes through, telling you you're not going to do anything, the life is meaningless, you won't make any money, nobody loves you. Stop and go, okay, where's that thought coming from? What is the assumption behind that? The assumption is that you're a loser, nobody loves you. The assumption is the universe is evil. The assumption is that the false beings of light are trapping you and keeping you here. The assumption is that Joseph Biden is going out of his way to ruin your life and that's why you can't get a job. The truth or the falsehood of those statements aside, you are responding emotionally to an assumption that's flying through your head on the deepest level. It's your expectation. So stop and question that. I've given you techniques to do before. Maybe we'll look into that later. I'll take a look at this list that we've looked at before. But make the decision. Make the decision to question every expectation that has been programmed into you. You have a feeling that comes up. You get angry, you get frightened, you get scared, you get resentful, you get guilty, you feel shameful, confused, hopeless. Those are feelings. Fearful, that's the biggest one, fear. People ask me all the time, Mahadeva, how can I get over my fear of success? The assumption is that the feeling is what's preventing them from taking action to be successful. It feels that way. You think about taking action to create your reality, and this fear grips you, and you stop, and you go, I can't. It's the fear. The fear is stopping me. Well, fear is just a feeling. It's an intense feeling, but it's just a feeling. You're sitting at the bar. There's a hot girl on the other side, or a hot guy, depending on your sexual preference. There's a hot something on the other side of the bar. And you want to go out with that person. Well, it's real simple. You just walk over and you say, hey, here's my phone. Put in your number. I'd love to take you out. Now, they may say yes. They may say no. They may say, well, let's talk first. Buy me a drink. Who knows? But if you don't take action, nothing's going to happen. That's guaranteed. Nothing's going to happen if you don't take any action. So you're perfectly capable of physically getting up and walking your little legs across the room. You're perfectly capable of forming the words. You're perfectly capable of handing your phone to the person. You are perfectly capable. You do far more difficult, strenuous things that take much more effort and thought than that. It's one of the simplest things that you can do. So what's stopping you? I'm afraid. Oh, so you have a feeling. Yeah, it's crippling me. It's so crippling, people jump off of bridges to avoid that feeling. I'm not trying to minimize that feeling, but that feeling doesn't have any bearing on the amount of physical effort it takes to take that action. So when somebody says, tell me how I can get over my fear, they honestly believe that if I can snap my fingers and give them some magic thing to get rid of their fear, they would then go and take the action. But they haven't stopped to question, where's the fear coming from? Why is the fear even there? And they have just accepted the expectation that if there's a feeling that's strong enough, that feeling has the power to stop me. It feels like that feeling will kill me, so I don't want to die. So I'm going to drink some liquid courage, and by then you're just, kind of gross and disgusting, and you're belligerent, and you get in people's space, and and you don't actually talk to them like a normal person. So I wanted my phone number, my phone. You got a nice body. If you held it against me, boy, right? So just accept that feelings can't stop your actions. That's an expectation. No feeling can stop me from doing it. Again, people ask me, how do I get over my fear of failure? And I say, when did I ever tell you were supposed to get over your fears? I never told you to do that. I never told you to even deny that the fear was there. Quite the opposite. You should feel it. You should acknowledge it. You should even question where it came from. So questioning is not denying. Let me be clear. Question your reality does not mean denying it. You can't question something that you're in denial of. You have to be fully aware of the fear, of the feeling. You have to be able to tolerate the feeling. You can't question something that you're intolerant of. You have to be fully facing it and fully experiencing it to question it. So how do I get over my fears? I never told you were supposed to get over your fears. What I told you is you were supposed to take actions regardless of whether or not you have fear. Look, I don't know how I come across to you. I come across to some people as being whatever, like I'm some kind of fearless warrior or something. I can promise you that is not the case. Not at all. Whatever frightens you, it frightens me. I'm frightened of success as much as anybody else. I mean, look at my brother and I. We're almost the same. The only difference between me and him is that he just allowed himself to be controlled by the thing, and I've been fighting it my whole life. So I know exactly why he is where he is, and it's not like it's a mystery to me how he ended up there. I know exactly how he ended up there. I've got those same feelings inside of me. I've got that same programming. I would have been exactly like him. He's my greatest teacher, by the way. I haven't spoken to him again. I think he's passed away, but I haven't spoken to him in 15 years at least. And, one of the things that I do when I'm afraid, like if I'm going to start a new teaching, if I'm going to ask a girl out, if I'm going to apply for a house I want to rent, or, if I'm going to pick up and move to Australia, which I've done twice now. When I'm afraid, I will bring up his face and I will ask him in my mind. I'll ask, my version of him, what do you think I should do? And I listen to everything he says because I know exactly what he would say. I can hear him saying, responding. Should I ask this girl out? Oh, the only thing women care about is how much money you have, and you don't have enough money. She's not going to be interested in you. All she's going to want to do is just use you as a sperm bank, and then she's going to throw you away, and you can't trust women. Okay, so I should ask her out then. I do the exact opposite of what he tells me because I know what his expectations have gotten for him, and I don't want anything that he's got. And the truth is, if my brother put 10% of the energy he puts into being miserable, into being successful, he'd be king of the universe. So, anyway, question your reality, then change it. So, changing it is very simple as well. If what happens to you, you wake up in the morning and the first thing that happens to you is that you feel depressed, you feel confused, you feel frightened, you feel angry, you feel disillusioned, and what you want to do is sit in bed and eat Cheetos and play video games or binge out on porn or who knows what, smoke weed, and I don't know. That's the first thing you want to do. Then the way you change it is you do the exact opposite. The way to change your reality is to act contrary to those expectations. The expectation of reality. Act directly opposite of that. Now the caveat is that your actions have to be geared towards your blissful joy, the joy of your soul. I mean, that's why I'm living here. Because this is exactly what I want. And, you know, people told me you couldn't do it. In fact, when I got here, I talked to lawyers and they said, you won't be able to stay here for long. You know, none of them turned out to be correct. None of them. I took action regardless of what other people told me or what my fears were. I've just gotten used to doing that. All right, so let's take a look at what we wrote about this before. Your 3D life is not your true reality. So this is important. You have to have a carrot to work towards. Now, it's not enough just for you to know that this reality isn't real. It's a matrix. It's an illusion. It's a projection of your expectations. So it's more than just knowing that. There is a reality. And it is a reality not based on your 3D limited, temporary, incarnated avatar, which is just a character in a video game. You are living in a role-playing, three-dimensional virtual reality video game. And who you are in 3D is a character. It's not who you are. You're a method actor. You know what method actors do? I was a method actor back in the day. They hypnotize themselves into believing they are the character, and they do that because the assumption is when you do that, the emotions will be real and people will believe you. And I achieved some things that, you know, I played some really, really uncomfortable, crazy, out there characters, and I put myself in that state, and a couple of times I couldn't come back. I had to sit down with people and have them bring me back to who I was. And that really scared the crap out of me. So that's all that's happened here. You're a method actor. You've completely absorbed yourself into your character so much to such an extent you believe you are that character, but you aren't. You are somebody else. And who you are is somebody in a higher dimension. And if I tell you who you are, you're going to have a hard time believing me. But I guarantee you it's the truth. I know this only because I've been shown this, and I keep getting shown this. Every time I go into interdimensional meditation, this is what is happening. The majority of what's happening is light beings are working to convince me that I am not this three-dimensional person, but I'm actually a deity, a very powerful deity. And if that sounds grandiose to you, it sounds that way to me. And this is why for the first month, I thought I was losing my mind. I thought I was going crazy. I thought I had lost it. I mean, I thought I'd become some kind of a narcissistic lunatic. I knew that wasn't true. What they were telling me wasn't true. I still haven't. And I don't know if I ever will, but I still haven't publicly, I've only told one person, but I still haven't publicly told the world who they told me I actually am and my past lives and all of that. If I told you, I don't know, maybe you'd believe me, maybe you wouldn't. But it is so unbelievable. But when I allow myself to believe that that is who I am, everything in this life begins to change. Most importantly, my interactions with other people begin to radically transform. Because I'm not going by that limited three-dimensional character that I chose to play. I chose to be that guy, Michael William Denny, born in 1963, grew up in Southern California, was the shortest kid in school. I had to fight my way through everything, and then I had a run-in with, and then became a religious guy. I chose to be that character because there were certain things I needed to learn. There were certain skills that I needed to acquire. And I've been given the message, one of the most recent messages I got, ETs showed up one day in the middle of the day and asked to come in and talk to me, and I let them in, and they said, your service on this planet has come to an end. And I thought they were saying I was going to die. Now, bear in mind, they're talking from their experience. They have to translate it, telepathically. My brain takes it and turns it into something it can understand. But now I know what the message was. The message was, you're not your 3D character anymore. You have served that. That has served its function. You have learned what you needed to learn. You no longer need to play that role. You no longer need to act that way with other people. And it took me a long time to understand that and then to integrate it, and now I am actively dismantling that third dimensional person. It's a struggle sometimes. I want to go back into the old ways of thinking, but I'm dismantling it. And I'm now acting from a completely different place. And I'm still working on that. And I remind myself who I am and what my true characteristics are, which are in some cases completely, totally opposite from the ones that I have created in this 3D character. So to change your reality means you must change yourself on every level. And I know how difficult that sounds. That is no small thing. In fact, it's impossible. In the third dimension, it's impossible. But if you tap into higher dimensional energies, anything can happen. Literally anything. And so this shift that's coming is going to be a result of the expectation of human beings, at least enough of them. Enough human beings will have changed their expectations of reality to such a degree that the literal frequency of Earth will shift. And of course, those who are doing the shifting within themselves will shift up to that other level. And who knows, we may wake up one day and be surrounded by Sasquatch. Oh, and they're like, we've been waiting for you guys. That's why we always show up and throw rocks at your tent. Now you're finally here. Okay, now we can get on with the Earth we're supposed to have. Who knows? Who knows? So let's take a look again at that. Let's see, where is it? So your 3D life is not your true reality. Your core self is a multi-dimensional light being. There's nothing easy about experiencing that. It's I won't lie to you, it's a traumatizing experience when you experience other dimensional aspects of yourself. It's incredibly blissful. It is the most blissful, crazy experience ever. But when you come back into your physical body, it's traumatizing to your 3D ego. But your core self is a multidimensional light being. The light beings, when ETs, by the way, all of the extraterrestrials that are visiting Earth from other planets are higher dimensional beings. They have a physical body, and they're whatever species they are, and they come from whatever planet they come from, but their frequency is shifted up to 5D or higher. And of course, if you've spent any time on my channel, and I recommend that you do, get my books, Extraterrestrials Are Coming to Earth and Interdimensional Revolution. I prove to you how abductions that are done by aliens are actually done by human beings using technology. And I prove to you that extraterrestrial light beings are incapable of doing anything like that. So I don't want you to conflate aliens with extraterrestrials. But those extraterrestrial beings, the ones in 5D, many of them have physical bodies. They do fly around in 5D spaceships. And but the only difference between us and them isn't their species. It's their dimensional existence. But in terms of who they are, they have souls that are identical to yours. So they have the same kinds of feelings, they have the same kinds of desires. You know, this idea that we've learned from, which has been a program given to us by the psychopathic dark force humans, the movies where you're told that any higher civilization is going to be filled with these sociopathic beings who want to study you like a lab rat, that's a lie. They have more compassion and love for you than you can possibly imagine. And they don't see you as some separate being. They see you as a light being like they are, who is trapped in a third dimensional matrix. And they want to, because they've known you for millions of lifetimes, because you've been an ET in higher dimensions before. Trust me. They know you and they want to help you make your way out of this maze. It's the only reason that they're here. This is who you are. Your essence, if you imagine the most beautiful angel appearing who has all kinds of powers and is filled with God's love and the most amazing, beautiful angel. That's who you are. That's nothing unusual. You just happen to be, if you want to think of yourself as a fallen angel, if that helps you, you can. I don't believe in that, but you fell from grace. No, you just chose to reduce your frequency to the third dimensional level so you could have a human experience. But now it's time to move beyond that. Your human identity is a temporary 3D construct. Your reactions to life are a scripted character. Your reactions are not your own. You're not in control of them. Unless you are questioning. You question all of your reactions. You question where they came from, how they were programmed. Is this what I want? Is this something an infinite angel being of light would need to do? If the answer is no, then do the opposite. Well, I can't do the opposite. I'm not an angel. Yeah, you are. So just act as though. Just act as if you are. And here's the interesting thing about other people. And this happens to be true for the matrix itself. But other people will believe whatever you tell them as long as you believe it. I'm not talking about a narcissist who's lying to you, trying to steal something from you, because you can tell they're lying. That's not what I mean. If you believe that you are a valuable, lovable, successful person and you take actions as though that's true, whether you believe it or not, everybody else will believe it and they will respond accordingly. If you act that way, the universe itself, remember, light acts according to your expectation. If you have the expectation that you're successful, happy, popular, whatever it is, other people, the universe itself will go, oh, and respond to you that way. This is one of the problems with the law of attraction, which is only partially correct. People think if they align their feelings and just sit on the edge of their bed and have a feeling that will attract things. That's not how the universe works. The universe responds to your actions. When you act as though you are that person, the universe goes, wow, that guy's, he's obviously successful. Let's give him some resources. Inside you're going, oh my God, I fooled them. The universe doesn't care. The universe only cares about what you do. And human beings are the same way. People only care how you treat them. They don't care what you're feeling. They care what you're doing. So you want to be seen as a kind, loving person? Then act with kindness, without expectation. That's the difference between an actually kind person and a codependent people pleaser. Codependent people pleasers do nice things, but they do it with an agenda. They want something in return. So you can't be doing kind things and giving gifts and also be hoping to get something back. Nope, if you're going to give something, you give it. If I give somebody a surfboard in the hopes that they surf it, it's my gift to them. If they end up using it as a coffee table, they want to sell it, and they have the right to do that. It won't bother me one way or another. I gave the gift. They can do whatever the hell they want. It's not mine anymore. So your highest achievement in life is to remember your 5D self. When you remember, you can change your reality. So when you remember, you can begin to shift your expectations. And when you're able to shift your expectations, your reality will change to meet that. And absolutely anything you can imagine is possible now. You want 5D, whatever that is. You want a perfect reality. You want a reality where unicorns fly through the air and poop out Skittles. You can have that. If you are able to change your expectations to such a degree that your frequency shifts up to that, it will manifest. Now, I obviously haven't achieved that level, so I'm working towards this as well as you are. But I know it's true because I've incrementally done it. Just in things like my physical body. I mean, my physical body I'm younger than I was 5 years ago. So, things that were impossible. I've been doing that my whole life. I've changed all kinds of things on my physical body that were impossible to do. I've done that in my external life in all kinds of ways. So I've incrementally done it. Am I at the level where I've shifted up to 5D? Not to my knowledge at this point. So we're on that same level, but we can do it together. And that's what all of these practices are here for. So if you're new to the channel and or you just listen to me talk, I mean, I'd like to believe that I have the ability to just tell you this and then you shift. But the truth is, probably that's not going to be the case. You're going to have to take some actions. The great news is that there are very simple physical movements that will shift your frequency up. Now, you have to align your expectations in your psyche to shift along with it. But, it's definitely a cheat. If you want that, that's what the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong is about. You combine the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong with the 923 Maoshan moving forms, you will have the most powerful practice that's ever been given to humans, at least in my opinion. So if you want, and I use those things because I need to do that. And I am willing to use every tool available to me because the one thing I want more than anything else is to be happy. And I know I've been to my 5D world many times, and I know that's where I want to be. So I'm not going to let anything stop me from achieving it. You want to join me? You can make use of the tools that I'm making available to you. All right, so again, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, like, and comment. Go to the free playlist section, click on the Maoshan Qigong, the Interdimensional Meditation, 12 Steps to 5D. Do at least one thing from one of those playlists every day. And while you're doing that, subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong at thunderwizard.com. You can unsubscribe whenever you want. My books, michaelwilliamdenny.com, the 3 books that I've written a lot, but the 3 that I recommend you get, you can get whichever books you want, is Extraterrestrials Are Coming to Earth, Interdimensional Revolution, and the most important, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. One of the most interesting things is that was one of the first books that I wrote, and I did that. I just very briefly closed my eyes and I asked, I didn't know who, the universe, my higher self, my guide, give me a topic to write about, because I needed to do something to get my channel up and moving. the end result of that was that book. I've since come to find out that the role that the light beings have told me I'm going to be playing, we'll find out, in the next world, the reason why I was chosen for that is because of not necessarily that book, but because I came to understand the truths in that book and I acted on it. And they said, because you figured that out, without any help from anybody. Because you figured it out and you learned how to do it, that's why you're going to be, who they said I'm going to be. And they went on to say that this is how every conscious being in higher dimensions, this is how they function. So if you want the most powerful tool, I think, available, get that book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. There's videos on it on this channel you can watch as well. All right. So, yeah, there we go. All right. Now I'll take a look and see if there's any questions that I want to respond to. Giggles and laughs. I can tell by your question you're new to the channel. Yes? So have you done the guided interdimensional meditations? My guess is no, right? So remote viewing is just a cute word for really complicated shamanic journey. That's all it is. It's for, that's why the military uses it. It's very complicated and all that. And so it sounds, about remote viewers, blah, blah, blah. So short answer is yes. And if you want to learn my method of what you're calling remote viewing, go to the playlists and do the interdimensional meditations. Have your own experiences. Welcome to Albruna, who found this through Seth's channel, Sethicus Boza's channel. Thundra says hello. King of the Conflagration. Why do I feel like that you and I have been in some kind of tension? Why do I have that feeling? Something strange. There was some action you took which I found to be strange. And I can't remember what it was. I think you unsubscribed and then sent me a message, and I went, why is he doing this? Is that you? Maybe that's somebody else. Let's see, your question. Would I have to suffer from the consequences of threatening to use black magic against a person? Well, you're asking that question hypothetically. Did you do that? So asking me would blah, blah, blah isn't a helpful question. The question is, how do I avoid consequences of threatening to use black magic against a person? Real simple. Do the opposite of that. Stop living in the past. I've done a lot of things. And there's stuff that goes through my head even today that I go, wow, that's an interesting thought. Thank you for bringing that. That's what I say. Whenever a thought, along those lines comes up, I go, oh, thanks for bringing that to my attention. Who cares? Why are you so wrapped up in it? I mean, if you don't want to use black magic against a person, then don't do it. You want to reverse it? Common sense, pretty simple. Go into meditation and call that person's spirit to you and say, I'm sorry I did that. I am now sending you love and happiness and joy. Is that hard? Is that hard to figure out? It's not that hard to figure out. I understand where you're coming from, but I can tell from your question, you need a teacher. So if you want, you can subscribe at the apprenticeship level, but you need a teacher, I can tell, because you're so wrapped up in needless guilt over something that anybody would go, you know what, I don't want to do that, I'm going to do something different, and they would stop thinking about it. So the fact that you're thinking about this and it's taking up so much of your time and energy that you needed to Talk about it. You need some help. So I'm not the only game in town, but if you want my help, I would recommend that you at least get a session with me so that I can help you with this. But to answer your question, just who cares? Just do the opposite. Just be a nice person. Is that hard? No. Everybody, can be forgiven. Everybody gets to be forgiven. The question is, can you forgive yourself? Let's see what else. Cats and me, honest feeling. I feel like the higher beings are not communicating with me, and it makes me feel sad. I've tried to reach out to them, but they might communicate to me in my dreams, but I don't know. I had a dream where I was in my apartment in my old room when I was young, and I felt my body go numb, and a blue-skinned angelic being stare at me, and I was taken up by, is that leprechaun? You wrote lupercon. You mean the leprechaun? Leprechaun-like figure. What else? This apartment was different from the apartment I live in now, and I knew which one it was. 2 dreams, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, okay, so that's just a feeling. So cats and me, I know something about you. You tend to take these feelings more seriously than you need to. Remember, a feeling is just a feeling. It only has as much power as you let it have. And so you feel like higher beings are not communicating. Well, sometimes they will take time off. Part of the reason for that is that they've communicated things to you that they want you to meditate on. They've maybe taught you things. They want you to practice. When that first happened with me and the light beings stopped coming every day and doing all these crazy energy things and taking me to other dimensions, they stopped showing up, and I was wondering what that was about. And then I just decided, well, I'll just do my own adventures, and I was able to go to these dimensions by myself and gain power and learn things, and I didn't need them, or so it felt anyway. And that was by design. They wanted me to learn how to do it for myself. They didn't want me to depend on them. Other times they've left me alone because they've said, you just need to be human for a while. You've been doing a lot of things. We've been taking you to a lot of places, and you just need to absorb and orchestrate those energies and feelings within you. So what this is really coming from is your feeling of being unloved. That's your feeling, and it's just a feeling. And sometimes they get busy. There's a lot going on. They have to do things like, go to Davos and try and, stop Klaus Schwab from destroying the world. And I'm dead serious about that. To give you an example, this isn't necessarily Klaus Schwab who did this, but according to Dr. Stephen Greer, if you don't know who that is, Greer, Stephen Greer, go look at his YouTube channel, especially look at the June 5th or the June something press club event if you want to have your mind blown. But he revealed that the Dark Force humans who have technology far beyond what you think we have, they were able to, with some kind of tractor beam or something like that, they were able to grab onto an asteroid, and they were directing it to Earth, and they were going to have that asteroid skim the top of the oceans, which would have created enormous tsunamis that would have gone to both sides of the Atlantic and the Pacific, and it would have wiped out billions of people. And the only reason that didn't happen, because they were bringing it, it was on its way to Earth. The only reason that didn't happen is because the light beings got in there and used their technology to, send it back out into space. So sometimes they're busy doing stuff. They don't have time to come and talk to us. So the point is, you need time to yourself sometimes. It's just, this is your fear of being abandoned, your fear of being unloved. This is you taking something and making more out of it, which is, as we know, is something that you do. So just keep doing your work, keep working with your counselor, therapist, whatever you got on your end. What else? Giggles and laugh. What's great is if you can write an entire sentence, because nobody knows what that means. You just threw out half a sentence. We don't know what the context is. Maybe it felt good writing it, but nobody else is benefiting from it. We don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about, and I want to know what you're talking about. King of the Conflagration says, I don't think that's me. Okay. Could have been somebody else. All right, that's it. I don't see any other questions or anything else. So my friends, thank you for showing up, and thank you for letting me ramble on and on. I appreciate it. It helps me, and hopefully it's helpful to you. Again, if you're just coming onto the channel and all you do is watch, you're really not getting anything out of it. I'm sorry to say. I wish I was that amazing, but I'm here because I did the work. And I have over-delivered when it comes to the amount of things that you can do. Pick one thing and do it. If you're serious about it, I encourage you to subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. Not only because you will get the most powerful, guided, step-by-step practices which will help you to shift your frequency, but it also helps the channel. This is how I pay the rent. This is how I'm able to come on every day and make videos on a daily basis and do what I do. So I'm also still available for people if you want to have a mentor. And I recommend that everybody has one. I have one. I pay for him every month, a hell of a lot more than what you guys pay me. So I'm not sitting on the mountain preaching something I don't do. We all need somebody. We all need a teacher. We all need somebody who can help us know where to go and what to do. So I make myself available to you in that regard. Go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe in the apprenticeship section, and I'll be happy to help you. Vedic astrology readings, astrology.thunderwizard.com. Anyway, you can see all the stuff that I offer here at courses.thunderwizard.com. You see all the different things. And again, if you want to have every single video package that I've ever created, every single certification like astrology, rune reading, being a coach, a life coach, distance healing, and you want the most powerful practices that will create vortexes that will bring higher dimensional energy to you, go to 923.thunderwizard.com. And of course, my book's at Michael William Denny. Let's see, has anybody said anything? Yeah, so Cats and Me says, I'm asking because it'll make me feel like I'm not going crazy if it happens to you. It does happen to me. And I've shared that a few times on the channel. There are times when nobody talks to me, and there are times when I have crazy dreams like that. So you're not alone. All right, that's it, my friends. Thank you so much. I love you all, and I appreciate everything that you do that helps you to evolve, whatever that is. Every little thing you do is huge in the true reality. The light beings, when you take the tiniest little step towards evolution, you change your behavior a little bit. You're nice to somebody instead of calling them a bad name. You shake somebody's hand instead of ignoring them. Something as little as that. On the other side of this dimensional wall, all of the light beings explode with joy and happiness. They are grateful to you. I am grateful to you every time you do the slightest little thing for your own evolution. Because when you evolve, I evolve. We have to do this thing together. I'm so glad that you showed up, and I appreciate every single one of you. And until next time, my friends, if I do not get beamed up to the Starship Enterprise, and or the solar flash doesn't come, and or I don't change my expectations and shift out of this frequency, if those things don't happen, I will see you all very soon. Please take very good care of yourselves.